I can't, words, let me try to word properly. Henry, I can word about Henry. I really liked that we finally had a Henry episode. Like, he hasn't really been in a lot of episodes this half of the season, I think in the season as a whole, but like just specifically this half. I think I know why. There's a pretty good chance that due to labor laws, Jared could only film like chunks at a time, and because this was 2 hours of basically him, I think what they did was they filmed him separately because kind of a lot of this was just him by himself. So he used up his underage child actor labor law hour allotment a lot of the time, so he couldn't really be in a lot of the other episodes, and they just filmed it even more out of order than they already did. So holy crap, Jared Gilmore finally gets a chance to shine, and he knocked this out of the park. So we start off with Isaac's backstory, and let me tell you, it's kind of hilarious to see TV salesmen acting like car salesmen. Isaac is being interviewed for the position of author because it's December of 1966, and I see what you did there because Walt Disney died on December 15th, 1966. Conveniently, the position of author is open because the previous one just passed away, and I'm seeing what you're doing, and there's no fourth wall at all, none whatsoever. In a ceremony reminiscent of trying to choose the next Dalai Lama or the Avatar, if you've seen Avatar: The Last Airbender, Isaac chooses the quill and he becomes the next author because whoosh magic and like, ooh yay, I chose the right thing, even though my dad was rooting for the Bic the whole time because dads. And apparently all of his questions will be answered, but exactly none of ours. Awesome. Like, for instance, I want to know, is it like a requirement that the author is not from the world that he is writing about, or she, I guess, he or she is writing about? Like, I don't... In the present day, Isaac is weirdly scripted sounding as he gives Rumpel this really cheery, weird, everything's gonna be great because I'm writing us a better lifestyle and life story speech. Everybody scrambles to try and stop him in time, but they fail because Isaac dots his I's and crosses his T's, and everybody gets stuck into the alternate universe, which conveniently leaves Henry behind because Henry was not born in the Enchanted Forest. And oh my god, that it hurt a lot to realize that this is exactly what Regina and Emma were trying to prevent in season 3 when the curse that Pan was doing, and then they had to undo it / to subvert it as much as they could. They failed to protect Henry in this case, so now Henry is alone in this world by himself, and But astoundingly enough, for a 12-year-old, he is not defenseless because the first thing that Henry does when he realizes that everybody's gone is he jacks a car and drives across the town line to go and try and find what happened to everybody. I guess cool Grandpa David's one driving lesson went really well and stuck because somehow this didn't end terribly. So Henry just like Grand Theft Autos around Maine and somehow ends up in what I'm guessing is Portland because it's not that far away from where we think Storybrooke is. So it's plausible that's where he went to go to Isaac's book signing. I don't know. Still somehow nobody died in this process. So Henry interrupts Isaac's not signing of books because that is not a signature, that is a wavy line, Isaac. I don't know where. Threatening Isaac gets him nowhere, so Henry decides to use the key to unlock a page of the book, which apparently is just how things work now. Instead of doors, it's just a magic key in general. And then he gets sucked into the Enchanted Forest. And again, all of my feelings, because Henry's never been to the Enchanted Forest before. For pretty much the entire show, that's all Henry's wanted to do, is go back to the Enchanted Forest, or go there to begin with at all, because again, he's never been there. His family is from there. Both of his parents, his grandparents, his adopted mother, everybody except him is from this place, and he's finally there, and he's alone. And not only that, but he's also on a hero's quest to save his family, and this is also all Henry has wanted to do, is be a hero and go do things and save people. And just, I might have teared up a little bit in the commercial break, like right after Henry got to the Enchanted Forest, because this is a lot for him, and I have a lot of emotions about that. So Isaac amazingly fails at trying to kill Henry, and I'm not really sure how he got here to begin with, but I'm gonna kind of let that slide a little bit because antagonist, villains, whatever. And we get the first look at how weird this alternate universe is when Rumple shows up and throws light magic at an ogre. He also then asks Henry where his family is or if he has any family, and it would not have surprised me in the least if the stage direction, the script, said Jared looks into the camera like he's on The Office. Luckily, Henry has brought the strategy guide that has amazingly specific details, so he manages to make it to Regina's hobbit hole without getting ensnared or impaled or anything really, which great. But naturally, Regina doesn't believe him and tries to kill him while also burning the book. It's okay though, it's okay the book is gone because Isaac is a hack who just reuses the same story and just swaps everybody's characters around. While trying to find Henry, Isaac gets stopped by the evil 7 dwarves and I almost cried. I was laughing so hard at this. He gets dragged back to the Dark Palace and in walks my new sexuality, evil Snow White. Holy shit, can Ginnifer Goodwin please wear her hair like that all the time? Because I really enjoyed the way, like, her whole thing, just her whole appearance as evil person was astonishing. So Isaac can't really talk his way out of a death sentence, so Snow calls in Graham, I mean Charming, and holy shit, here's my other new sexuality, I mean Josh Dallas in Guyliner. We're not going to talk about how I am still 13-year-old emo trash. It's been accepted, just get over it. But can everybody just be evil if we get this entirely new, amazing wardrobe change that makes everybody look 1,000 times hotter than they already are? Because I'm pretty sure I'd be okay with that. Turns out that James was Snow's evil true love and Regina somehow caused his death. And meanwhile, Snow keeps James's twin brother David around as some kind of toy / killing machine. I mean, he looks good while he's trying to kill things, and I guess that's all that matters when you're evil and hot and you're in charge, so let's go with it. Regina kind of turns out to be a worse bandit than Snover was, so then Snow almost kills her, and I want to point out that Ginnifer Goodwin being evil is kind of the most terrifying thing I've seen in a long time, so thanks for those nightmares. A fanfic happens and Robin sweeps in to save Regina and takes her away on horseback. They go to a pub and there's a true love parallel with the whole cut hand and there's alcohol and a bandage, and I'm really glad that they didn't have Robin tying the bandage with his mouth because I don't know if I could have handled another scene like that. I mean, I know they didn't need to because he has 2 hands and Killian has 1, but I'm just, thanks for completely not destroying my ovaries this episode. Regina gets all flirty with the competition and then everything's going really well and it's adorable until she finds out that Robin's about to marry Zelena that day. And sad slide whistle. Regina tells Henry that Emma is actually here as well and she's been locked away in a tower on an island that's way far out to sea, and I have read this exact fanfic setup before. It is called The Curse of Banshee and it's really great, so go read that if you're so inclined. So there's some stuff with Isaac and Rumple is the light one instead of the dark one here, and there's still a chipped teacup, and the Charming son is actually now Belle and Rumple's son, and I'm glad that somebody is taking care of this kid because the Charmings kind of haven't been this half of the season, so you know, and Isaac is trying to put a burr under Rumple's skin and make him doubt everything and go and fight, and Meanwhile, Henry goes to find Killian so they can get on his ship and go and rescue Emma, and oh no, he's all meek and not brave and a little bit of a coward, and he's bashful, and he's under the rule of Blackbeard, and he's 1,000 times more of a dork than any of us have ever written for Lieutenant Jones. It was a little bit painful to watch, but at the same time I was like, oh no, come here so I can just put you in a blanket and stow you away somewhere safe because you're a precious cinnamon roll, too good for this world. But luckily Henry's got a little pirate in him too, and he knocks out Blackbeard, and then he's like, okay, we gotta jack this ship, and Killian's like, I don't know how to sail the Jolly Roger, and Henry's like, I do, I know, because I had a great teacher, and my heart is going to just burst into 1,000 rainbows because Captain Cobra lives, and So Henry pulls a Wookiee prisoner and they free Emma, who remembers everything because that's her punishment in this reality. They escape, Killian finds his courage to shoot down Lily the Dragon, and heart eyes are everywhere, and I know I'm skipping a lot of things with the true love couples, but I will literally not talk about anything else if I focus on them, so that's all gonna come a little bit later. So Evil Snow finds them in the marketplace, and Emma fails to turn her around to the side of good, and then Killian says, "Run, I'll take care of this," even though he's a complete and utter failure at the sword, and he managed to take out all the Dark Knights and disarm Charming, but then he gets distracted, and then in complete Game of Thrones style, Charming stabs him in the back. The Charming send their regards, and Henry has to like almost drag Emma away as Killian lays dying in the streets, and I don't want to talk about it. I can't talk about it. So Emma and Henry have to go find Regina, and she's packing up and she's getting ready to leave, and Emma basically has to tell Regina to stop running away and go find her happy ending before it's gone forever. And this is kind of the central core of Emma and Regina's friendship, and why it's so important to me that they have each other as friends. The whole concept of enemies who are now friends, it's a really important friendship dynamic to get into because they can trust each other to be brutally honest to the point of almost being cruel about it, and they'll be able to accept that coming from each other, whereas they have other people who are going to be really gentle with them when they need to, but these kinds of friendships, they're gonna always be the one to like kick each other in the ass when it needs to. Like, Regina is the only person that I think Emma would allow herself to be this vulnerable with, even in a world where Regina doesn't know Emma, because at this point Emma's not gonna be nice about it. She's gonna, I mean, she is kind of nice about it, but she's also holding back tears and her voice is breaking because she just watched the man that she loves die. She never told him that she loved him because she was scared, and now she's telling Regina, "You're scared too, and I promised you in another life that I was gonna help you find your happy ending, and this is me helping you find your happy ending. Go do it before I kick your ass so you can save everything, and maybe you can bring back the guy that I love." And So Regina takes this to heart. They go to the church, and Emma is surprisingly good with the sword now. I wonder who's been teaching her off screen how to not wield a sword like a club like she did in season 2. Henry has also been practicing, and again, I wonder who has been teaching him how to sword fight in addition to sailing and all of the Captain Swan Cobra feels. But he faces down Rumpelstiltskin like it's his job, and he knows that he's probably gonna die while doing this, and I have a lot of feelings about Henry Mills. However, Mama Regina fails to stop the wedding because she has to go and sacrifice herself for her son, even though he's not her son in this world, but she just knows that it's the right thing to do. And Robin comes and sits with her as she's dying, and that doesn't, you know, make me want to just... Okay. So Henry picks up the pen and uses Regina's blood to write the new ending of the story and undo everything, because now Henry's the author, and raise your hand if you didn't see that coming. Nobody's hand should be raised, by the way. Everything gets undone, everything goes back to normal, there's hugs all around, and then Isaac tries to run away while Rumpelstiltskin is dying, but the Charmings are like, "No, we're gonna get the cop car and we're gonna totally haul you off to jail while we figure out what we're gonna do with you because you're kind of a piece of." So Mickey Mouse comes in and talks to Henry for a little while about the responsibilities of being the author, and the only thing that Henry really wants to know is if he can bring his dad back. It was kind of a painful sucker punch in the gut when the apprentice said no, he can't bring Neil back because Neil died in reality, whereas Hook died in fiction, and it was easily undone because that's not the real world. So I think it's kind of out of anger that Henry breaks the quill because he can't do the thing that he wants to do. He can't bring his dad back. But at the same time, I also think that it was a good thing that he decided that nobody should have this much responsibility with the magic quill, So how exactly he's going to be recording these stories, unless he's just going to be writing it out by hand and then somehow they're going to figure out how to magically transcribe them into a new book, I don't know, but you know, all 12-year-olds make great decisions when they're upset, so I don't think that's gonna come back and bite us in the ass at all, ever. So Belle has to interrupt the after party because Rumple is dying and about to turn completely into the Dark One, so the apprentice takes Rumple's heart and the hat and puts all of the darkness into the hat, which isn't gonna backfire in the least. But then Rumple's heart is white, and I'm not sure if that's because it was out of his body and there's no blood, but the darkness escapes the hat and goes and wreaks havoc across the town, and the apprentice reveals the sorcerer is Merlin, and then the apprentice dies, I think. It's a little ambiguous. Does he die? I'm not really sure if he's dead or if he just passed out because Emma had to purge that much darkness out of him at once. So the darkness tries to take Regina, and I'm gonna guess it's because she's kind of the easiest target because she is the newest minted person on the side of good, and it's a little easier to probably break her to bring in the darkness back, and a Dark One Regina would just be completely terrifying. So I'm kind of glad that Emma stabbed the dagger into the darkness and became the Dark One herself, and that's where the episode ends. The dagger falls onto the street, reads Emma Swan, and that's cut to black, we're done. How am I supposed to last until October? I'm gonna talk now. We're gonna forget the best. I know I've talked a lot already. This is a very long video, but we're gonna forget the best because there's no way that I can choose a best of anything. So I'm gonna talk about a couple of things that I skipped. And first, true love couples. You cannot tell me that Robin wasn't like half flirting with Regina every time that he outdid her in one of their robbery things. I don't even care that they never properly met, so he couldn't be like, oh, I totally was flirting with you. Like, that's a fanfic, and that's total 4th grade level flirting, and I refuse to believe that that's not what was happening. Not to mention the staggering amount of flirting that happened in the less than 5 minutes they were on screen together in the pub, and then the whole, hey, I'm gonna stay with you while you die so you don't die alone. Like, that wasn't extraordinarily emotional or anything, or how he came sprinting to find her when everything was over, or then inviting her for a moonlight walk. Can you not, Robin Hood, can you not be that adorable? And they're stupidly cute, and I don't know what to do with them, so I'm just gonna be kind of angry about it, except not really that angry. And I'm gonna try not to scream the entire time, but holy Captain Swan, you guys knew that this was coming. I have the shirt on. First off, we have them meeting for the first time, for the 4th time. This is they met once, the first time in the Enchanted Forest, and then when he comes back for her in New York, and then when Barwench goes and flirts with frat boy Pirate Hook, and now this, every single time that he meets her for the first time, or he sees her for the first time, he looks at her like she has hung every goddamn star in the sky, and I kinda can't deal with it. He legitimately had to like do this to get this struck look off of his face, like holy 7 bloody buggering hells, there's this angel and the boy never said that his mother was an angel, and I can't. And then there's Emma like kind of manhandling him while teaching him how to use a sword, and tell me that's not the most thinly veiled innuendo you've ever seen in your life. Or the fact that she had to watch him die. This is the 3rd man that Emma Swan has had to watch die for her. He threw himself into battle for her. He's extraordinarily unqualified for this, and he died for her, and he barely knew her. And he was already so in love with her that he was just like, yeah, that sounds great, sure, you go be safe, and I'm gonna be here. And then Emma had to watch him die, just like she had to watch Graham and Neil and even Walsh die, and you cannot tell me that the whole time they were running to Regina's camp that she's not like 3 seconds away from breaking down. The fact she managed to make it all the way to Regina's camp without breaking down is astounding to me. And you know that she's like blaming herself for this because that's what Emma does. The first thing that she demands of Isaac is to bring Killian back, and I've written that fic before, and it's more painful to watch it play out on television. The first thing that she does after hugging Henry is go in front of the loft to see if Killian is there, and she thinks he's dead because he's such a drama queen that he's like, oh, I went to go check on Henry, which that also gives me a lot of feeling that he was like, his first thought was like, Henry's upstairs, is he okay? But also secretly he was like, I'm gonna make a dramatic reveal of my presence, because that's Killian Jones, everybody. First thing she does when he reveals himself is she runs upstairs and tackles him onto the bed while giggling like a teenager, and I can't. And then she chickens out of telling him that she loves him, and my dad, so my parents were watching with me, and my dad even said she didn't tell him she loved him then, just like she said she was going to in the past. And I was like, well, it wasn't the past, it was an alternate reality, but sure. And internally I'm like screaming, and he's like, well, still, she didn't tell him she loved him. And I'm like, because she's scared, and I'm trying to be rational and not a shrieking fangirl because parents. And my dad's just like, well, she needs to get unscared because this is ridiculous. And I'm like, Dad ships it. However, I like to think that perhaps Emma made up for the fact that she didn't tell him she loved him, because she was, you know, they were on her bed and she was straddling him, as it happens, you know, and she did show up to the after party wearing a different outfit than she was wearing earlier. Just saying, it could be implied. It's also a little bit nicer to think that that's what happened, instead of how Emma told him that she loved him seconds before she became the Dark One, or how the last time a woman told Killian that she loved him, she died in his arms, or how Killian didn't get to say I love you back, and it's probably killing him right now that he couldn't say it, because what if she doesn't come back, and what if he can never tell her, and what if that's what could have saved her, and okay, done with the shipping stuff. I promise I'm done with it. Well, for now. So the Rumbell thing. You guys know how conflicted I am about this. I don't think there's any more words I can say about it, about how conflicted I am. I'm a little bit upset that Belle said that she's not in love with Will, and I think that's okay that she's not in love with him because they were only kind of dating for a little while. But does Will know that she's not in love with him and she's still in love with her ex-husband? Because I feel really bad for little Scarlet now. And I'm kind of concerned that because he has this white heart now, that it's gonna be a bit of a cop-out for his redemption, and I'm not sure how I feel about it. Unless there's some really good remorse written for next season, I'm gonna still kind of be on the fence about how this is handled. I really think we just need some Belle that's not revolving around Rumple, because so far that's been almost her entire story, is just revolving around Rumpelstiltskin. And she's a really good character when they remember that she is, and they write her that way. So I really would like them to do that a little bit more in season 5. Maybe, please. Also, Merlin, we've known that Camelot existed for a while, for a couple seasons now. I saw somebody speculating about Lily's father and how King Arthur's father's name is Uther Pendragon. And I know that's kind of like smashing the nail with the hammer, like, hey, obviously, Uther Pendragon, that's dragon in the name, so maybe Lily's dad is also the father of King Arthur, so maybe Lily is also in line for the throne of Camelot. Just saying. I know it's a little bit shaky to figure out who's who in anonymous dragon one-night stands, but it's a possibility. It was just a really good finale, and I'm so happy that Henry finally got like a Henry episode. Like, he got to be the hero like he always wanted to. He got to save the day. He got to go to the Enchanted Forest. And I think it's really important to note that while this is a show that everybody is all about the shipping and all these characters, it's also a show about family. And the whole thing started when this little boy came up to his birth mother and was like, hey, my adopted mom might be evil and I kind of need you to come and save the day because that's also your destiny. And then started bringing in this really bizarre, kind of broken, messy family together. This episode we got Henry and Regina, we got Henry and Emma, we got Henry and Killian, we got Henry talking about Neil. Like, it's kind of a weird situation with, he's got two moms that don't really get along sometimes. He's got two kind of stepdads. Robin is starting to get back into the picture here. He's got this dead dad that he never got to know, and he kind of regrets that, and so that's why he wants to bring him back, so maybe he can like continue to make the family wreath even more convoluted. But it's really important that we got a little bit of everything with all of Henry's parental figures. Just feelings. I have a lot of feelings, and okay, I know I missed things. This is ridiculously long, and I know I missed things because this was a 90-minute episode. There's so much that happened. So anything that I missed that you want to talk about, I probably want to talk about it too, but I just had to skip over it. So please, let's go to the comments and talk about things there. And prayer circle for Comic-Con that we actually get a couple of answers and some sneak peeks that are actually, like, I have so many questions. I have so many things, and I'm writing a lot of things this summer. It's gonna be a long time till October. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys next time. Bye. Okay, birds, it is time for quiet. Hi, Lainey. My dog in here now too. Hi, what are you doing? I know, you're gonna have to be quiet, okay? Okay, so all the animals are gonna be in the background of this video. You have to be quiet. There's no whining allowed during filming.